What if one single hug between two world leaders could change everything? What if that embrace carried not just diplomacy, but a lifetime of pain, hope, and an unspoken promise? Tonight, you will witness a moment that shook the world, and the secret story behind it. The room was heavy with silence, not the kind that simply fills a space, but the kind that squeezes your chest, stealing your breath. Cameras clicked in anxious bursts. Reporters exchanged nervous glances as President Joe Biden and Burkina Faso's young leader, Ibrahim Traoré, stepped up to the international press conference podium. Rumors had swirled for months: strained relations, political tension, whispered conflicts. The world had painted Traoré as a mystery, a young man thrust into a stormy leadership role, a beacon of hope standing against chaos. But today, something different was in the air, something unspoken yet deeply felt. Then, without warning, Biden did something that no one expected. In a moment that stunned the room, the U.S. president reached out and pulled Ibrahim Traoré into a warm, unguarded hug. Gasps echoed. Cameras froze. Reporters stopped mid-sentence, pens poised in midair. Why now? Why here? Why him? At first glance, it seemed a simple gesture, but this hug would ripple across the globe. News headlines exploded. Biden hugs African leader. A political statement, a calculated move, or something far deeper. Few knew the truth. Behind the cameras, behind the polished speeches, lay a story of silent battles and unyielding resilience. In the days before the conference, only a handful had glimpsed the true weight Traoré carried. A young president weathering threats, loneliness, and heartbreak no leader should bear. Behind his calm exterior lay the heavy burden of a nation desperate for peace, yearning for hope. For Biden, the hug wasn't a photo op. It was a silent promise, a recognition. I see you. You are not alone. But what had compelled Biden to break protocol, to reveal such raw emotion on the world stage? The secret lay months earlier, in a quiet room far from the spotlight. A confidential meeting off the record. There, Traoré, known for his steel resolve, opened his heart. He spoke softly about his country's turmoil, families shattered by violence, children denied education, dreams buried beneath fear. His voice trembled once when recalling a dear friend lost to brutality. Biden listened, not as a politician, but as a man who understood grief, loss, and hope. He shared his own scars, the pain of losing his son, the nights filled with silent worry. Two men from worlds apart found common ground, not politics, but pain. And from that quiet moment grew a bond, unspoken but unbreakable. Now standing before the world, that hug was a powerful shout. True leadership springs from the heart. Burkina Faso was at a crossroads. Years of unrest had drained its spirit. Traoré was young but strong, chosen to lead when doubt shadowed his every step. Yet behind closed doors, he was often alone, haunted by sleepless nights, endless meetings, and the faces of those depending on him. He roamed his country incognito, listening to fears, sharing tears. His love for his people was fierce. Each hardship became a personal battle. When Biden embraced him publicly, it was more than symbolism. It was a message. No leader, no matter how strong, bears their burdens alone. The moment froze time. Cameras captured every angle, yet none could reveal the deep emotions beneath. Questions flooded the room. Why had Biden defied protocol? What did the hug signify for global politics? Social media exploded with theories: friendship, alliance, hope, or something deeper. For Traoré, the hug was unexpected relief, an acknowledgement from a world power that he was seen and understood. For millions watching, it was a beacon of hope, a reminder that kindness can exist even in the darkest places. But the real story was still unfolding. Days later, alone in his office, Traoré's heart replayed that moment. To the world, it was warmth between two leaders. To him, it was a lifetime of silent suffering. He remembered the night before his presidency. the crushing weight of his future. Alone in his small home, his thoughts haunted by faces of children who lost schools, mothers who mourned sons, and a nation slipping away. Yet despite the burden, Traore never lost hope. His leadership was born of love, not power. That hug was different. It meant he was no longer alone. For the first time in years, he allowed himself to believe that maybe, just maybe together, they could change his country's story. Joe Biden carried the weight of that embrace too. Beyond the public eye, he had faced his own battles, moments of brokenness few saw. Seeing Traore, the young man standing tall but wounded, struck a chord deep inside Biden's soul. That hug was more than diplomacy. It was human connection. Two souls bound by pain and perseverance. Biden hoped the world would understand. Leaders are people too, with fears, hopes, and hearts. In the days after, journalists dissected every detail. Was it a new alliance, a secret deal, a message of hope? Social media erupted with millions decoding meaning, some skeptical, many inspired. Meanwhile, Traore stayed focused, his heart heavy with the trials ahead. The hug was a beacon, but the true challenge lay in what came next. Leading a nation through storms of uncertainty meant sacrifice and resilience. What no one saw was that hug was just the beginning. Months before the conference, long after official meetings ended, Biden and Traore shared a quiet moment. Late at night, in a dim room, shielded from the world's noise, Traore spoke of sacrifice, friends lost, children hungry, nights haunted by fear. His words were heavy with grief and hope. Biden listened, heart aching with empathy. In that silence, barriers fell away. Two men, worlds apart, connected through shared pain and a burning desire for change. That moment sealed a bond, not with speeches, but understanding. Ibrahim Traoré was young, but his spirit was ancient. In a world where power often comes with age, Traoré's youth was both his burden and his strength. His battered country's future was uncertain, but he refused despair. He walked villages, listened to forgotten voices, believing leadership was about heart, not titles. That belief made him vulnerable, yet unbreakable. Biden noticed. When Biden hugged him publicly, it was a salute to courage, a vow to support a young man fighting for tomorrow. The hug changed everything. Reporters scrambled for answers. Millions waited in suspense. For Traoré, the moment was bittersweet. The world's gaze was heavy with expectation. Could he carry their hopes? He thought of mothers longing for peace, children dreaming of school, silent soldiers. The hug was hope, but the journey was just beginning. His days were long, nights sleepless. Each choice bore the weight of thousands. The faces of those suffering haunted him, fueling his resolve. To the world, Biden's hug was a gesture. To Traoré, it was recognition, a silent promise. You do not carry this burden alone. That moment rekindled a fire. Compassion was costly, but necessary. The world often saw leaders as politicians trapped in power plays. That hug shattered the illusion. Behind closed doors, Biden and Traoré vowed to put humanity first. Headlines proclaimed a new alliance, a shared vision. No child would suffer hunger or fear. That promise transcended politics. It was a call to action, a challenge for leaders everywhere. Lead with heart. As cameras zoomed out and the conference ended, both men knew their journey had just begun. Their handshake of solidarity was a quiet rebellion against cynicism. Back in Burkina Faso, news of the hug spread like wildfire. People gathered around radios and TVs, eyes wide with hope. For many, Traoré's struggle was personal. Families who lost everything saw themselves in him, their pain, their resilience. The hug was more than a moment. It was a spark. Tears flowed, not just from sorrow, but from hope, from a deep yearning for peace and change. In that moment, a nation dared to dream again. Behind global diplomacy's polished veneer, battles rage unseen. For Ibrahim Traoré, these were battles of will, hope, and humanity. Every decision affected millions: farmers clinging to fragile crops, children trekking miles for water, families fleeing violence. The weight was immense. But in every challenge, Traore found strength, not just in strategy, but in faith. Faith that change was possible if leaders dared to care. When Joe Biden publicly embraced him, it was an acknowledgement of those invisible battles, a rare moment when two leaders shared silent struggles with the world. It reminded everyone watching, leadership isn't politics alone. It is heart. The press conference hug went viral instantly, sparking a wave of hope and questions. Why now? Why such a public display? The answer was simple, yet profound. Human connection transcends borders. For Traore, it was validation. For Biden, a gesture of solidarity. For millions, a symbol. Even in a fractured world, kindness and cooperation can prevail. It was a turning point, not just for two leaders, but for the future they vowed to build together. As the cameras faded and the crowd dispersed, Ibrahim Traoré stood taller. The hug was more than an embrace. It was a promise that no nation stands alone. His eyes brimmed with tears, thinking of his people, their dreams, their resilience, their unyielding hope. He knew the path ahead was hard, but now he was not alone. And to you watching this story unfold, remember, sometimes one simple gesture can change everything. If this story touched your heart, if you believe in hope, courage, and unity, like, subscribe, and comment below. Share your thoughts, your feelings, because together we can make the world a better place.